Hello, this is Jen from Burnout To Breakthrough. How you doing? Every Monday I like to check in and do a live Facebook stream just for you, for those who have just so much going on in their lives, who are completely stressed out because, hey, I have definitely been there. I've been there when I'm juggling way too many balls in the air. I've been there when I'm really experiencing the negative impacts of stress. And yeah, every Monday I like to boost tips and techniques and tricks and all the methods that I've learned the hard way, so you don't have to go along the journey that I went along, which I'll tell you more about later on in this 30 minutes. So just to let you know, I am here today with my work colleague, Hannah. Say hello, Hannah. Oh, there she is. Hello. Don't know where the other one is. It's a nice day today, so I think he's out playing outside, Sid. So we have a little bit of a schedule, so excuse me while I bob in between my iPhone and my Mac, but I just want to make sure I get everything in. If you somehow, find me right now live and you want to say hello, yeah, pop a little wave in it, a virtual hello there, or excuse me, or yeah, just send in a comment or a question or anything. I'm here to listen. So in the next few minutes we're gonna understand what this session's all about. So basically it's a 30-minute booster session, how to get out of your rut, how to take back control and live a stress-free life. It sounds easy, right? But seriously, it isn't sometimes. Life can definitely take over. And I'm also going to be talking to you about my new challenge closed Facebook group that I've spent all weekend creating. So from the 1st of July, you can, for free, join in at any time. It's obviously preferable that you start at the 1st of each month. So imagine the 1st of January is every single month. And I'm going to go through the whole program with you, and I'm going to help people. I'm going to practice what I preach, and I'm going to basically pursue my passion, which is to help busy entrepreneurs and hard-working professionals recover from the damaging effects of stress and business burnout fast. Because I've been there, and I want you to learn from my mistakes so you don't run into the negative or the nasties that stress can bring into your health, into your relationships, and into your work and career. So how can you contact me if you've got a question, or if you want to jump into this group that I'm launching on the 1st of July? There's actually a Facebook closed group link tagged in with this live post. So yeah, find it, click on it. There's 3 questions that you're going to ask just to see where you are and what you want to get out from the group. And then I'll press confirm, and then in we go. So basically throughout the whole 4 weeks each month, I'm going to go through the 4 steps that I work towards in order to help people get to their optimum health. So a little bit more about that later. As the 30 minutes today progresses, we're going to go into with more detail the 4 steps, and it will give you an idea as to what to expect in this complimentary Facebook group, and also gives you a highlight into the services that I can offer on a one-to-one basis, my From Burnout To Breakthrough program that I offer. So there's a lot that's going on in the next half an hour. So I try and keep it short and concise. I'm just so passionate sometimes I can get off the rails with a few things, but it's only because I want to help people. So yeah, so I like to start these booster sessions and ask that question: are you in flow? Are you in your magic spot? Are you just experiencing life where everything all is falling into place? Do you feel on top of your game right now? Is everything just working out the way you've planned it and the way you want it to? And if you're saying yes to this, then fantastic. That's what I call you living and working in your sweet spot. And it's such an amazing feeling when you're there. And it's what everyone strives to be. However, a lot of people are not working from their sweet spots. They're not working from their flow. They're not working from their inner magic. And that's what I'm here today to let you know what I think is interfering with that flow. the most common factor today that interferes with your flow and your inner magic is stress. I mean, stress is absolutely everywhere. And, you know, it's not always bad stress. It can be good stress as well, but it's still stress all the same. And people don't tend to realise how much stress they're actually walking around and dealing with at any one time. I mean, this modern world is fantastic, isn't it? We've got so much to live for. We've got the freedom to do whatever we want, and we've got all this amazing technology, and it's always nice to be with your family and friends. We've got the chances to do that as well. However, the stress can just creep up on you from nowhere sometimes, and if you leave it unchecked, this is where you can get into serious problems. I mean, I am the severe end of the scale, and I'm here today to, you know, give you the right ideas of what to avoid. I want to give you the signs that you need to look out for to help you stop getting to where I ended up. So more on that later. So there is a fact that I like to say, and that's 75 to 90% of all doctor visits are due to stress-related illnesses, and the number of days taken off due to stress-related illnesses back in 2016 was 11.7 million, and last year, 2017, it rose to 12.5 million. So every year it is increasing. So time off from work is not good because you end up using your holiday. So it's not good for the actual person who's dealing with stress. It's not obviously good for the company because they're losing all these days due to stress-related illnesses. So the work productivity isn't as good as what it could be. And yeah, everyone is actually affected, isn't it? Because if you're taking time off from work, you know, you may not even get paid your full wage, and that might end up spiralling into having problems financially at home. It might even, you know, dent your mental health as well, because, you know, it's not very motivating if you're forever trying to tackle a stress symptom. So it's quite an alarming rate, isn't it? These numbers of days taken off, and it's increasing year on year. So, you know, it goes without saying there is an epidemic in the UK, and this is the UK alone. I don't actually know about the other countries, but the amount of antidepressants that are being issued at the moment through stress-related symptoms and illnesses, it wouldn't surprise me if also in other countries that the increase of working days lost is also prevalent there as well. So yeah, so we all have a fear response mechanism called the amygdala, and when this kicks off, it then sends the chemical and electrical signals to the motor cortex, which is your ability to take action. So I'm going to ask you to revert back to your last argument. Hopefully it wasn't, you know, today, but, you know, sometimes in some people's lives it can be. Or you might end up arguing with your boss. I mean, it depends what sort of relationship you have, but revert back to your last argument. Now, in that situation, when you are getting revved up, when you're not being listened to, when you're not getting your point across very well and the other person doesn't quite understand what you're trying to say, where are you in your reaction to stress? Do you want to fight? Like, you know, really continue with the rage and fight it out? Or do you just want to walk away? You know what, boss, it's fine, okay, I'm going to, you know, pick this up again tomorrow when we've, you know, had a bit of a cool down period? Or do you just not know what to do? You just sort of freeze and stand in your tracks. Now, one of these three reactions, or you could be one of two, it's very rare they have all three, but yeah, that is actually your normal human response when subjected to stress. So don't feel bad on yourself if you're fighting, you know, fighting talk, or because you're just in primal panic mode most of the time. And yeah, what people don't tend to realise is that this is actually the normal response to everyone's brain when we're subjected to stress, and actually the chemicals that get released into the brain can actually become addictive. So people are actually becoming addicted to stress. Now, you may or may not have heard this, but it's actually quite alarming. You end up getting yourself in behavioural patterns because without realising you are finding, stressful situations because your body is just pretty much running on the adrenaline that you feel all the time, the mass rushes of cortisol that you're experiencing in your body during stressful situations. So yeah, it's quite sad. And so, let's actually highlight what is actually a stress symptom. So it could be in the form of headaches, it could be in the form of skin allergies, it could also be in the form of let's have a look. Obviously anxiety, diabetes is a hidden one. You can also have heart problems. I mean, I am the other end of the scale, and for me, through business burnout, high levels of stress, chronic stress led to depression, and also stress is related to cancer. And I'm not here to sit and talk about cancer. I'm here to talk about my experiences with severe depression that came from business burnout. You don't actually, to get that far, it's obviously you just completely ignoring your body, and that's what I'm here to make you avoid. But yeah, obviously, if you leave stress unchecked, that's how bad it can get. So it's serious. I mean, people walk around at work saying, "Oh, I'm so busy, the phone just hasn't stopped," and that's great to a certain point. Maybe you're getting your sales in, or you're making your boss happy, or being busy is good to a certain point. But if it ends up interfering with your life, like you're not coping very well at work, you're not managing the pressure too well, or you're taking it home, and you end up not being yourself around your family or your partner, and this is when the warning signs need to be addressed. So yeah, that's what I'm here for you to look out for. So my story, a little bit about me. I've been a business owner now for coming up 6 years, and I've had a couple of businesses out in Shanghai, China. That was where my first experience of entrepreneurship came about. I set up a spinning studio and absolutely loved it. But if I revert back to those years, even though the success of the business I had out there was going up and up and up, and I experienced, great success, and I really enjoyed it, and it was all going great, but behind the scenes, my health just went really downhill because I just simply was not looking after myself. I mean, I was just spinning like a trooper. And then what happened, I was experiencing these symptoms, and I was going to the Chinese doctors, and they were just misdiagnosing me. I mean, I had this really horrible dizzy condition, which an ENT specialist, an ears, nose and throat specialist, confirmed it as labyrinthitis. Now, for those who have ever had an inner ear experience or labyrinthitis, it is just awful. I mean, you just feel like you are on a boat for, the whole duration of the day, and it made me feel so sick that I was actually sick on quite a few occasions. So the longest bout of that lasted 9 weeks, and it just kept coming back. It was on and off, on and off. And I remember leading up to my wedding day that we were actually wondering, or I was in a little bit of fear, thinking, I hope I don't have this condition on my wedding day, because it would just make you feel so sick. So then I went to have a second opinion. I did MRI scans, and then I was told by another specialist I had MS, and I'm like, whoa, I need to get to the bottom of this, because MS just didn't feel right. So to cut a long story short, I went back to the UK, and apparently I was just experiencing severe depression, which really came from business burnout. So what I was doing, in simple terms, I just was not listening to my body. My body was giving me all these signals to say, Jen, calm down, Jen, stop this, Jen, just give yourself a break. But when you're a spin instructor, you're not obvious, and you're spinning 4 to 6 times in the week, and running a business and in a different country, and you just live off the buzz, don't you? And when you're an entrepreneur, a very common trait I think we share, and as hardworking professionals as well, is that we're high achievers, aren't we? And we tend to not stop until we get something done. So that also fits in with the idea that we're a bit of a perfectionist as well. And these are all good traits. I'm not, putting down the perfectionism traits at all, or the high achiever, but that can get in the way if you're not educated enough to look after yourself in the process of handling your full powered career or your busy business. Which is daft as well, because I was and always will be in the health and fitness industry. So, I wasn't just looking after myself, which is like bizarre. It's like when doctors don't take their own advice, that's saying. So yeah, that is what happens when you just don't look after yourself. You can, your body puts you into deep rest, as I say, depression. And I was on and off for about 3 years with depression, which was, not very pleasant. But I was offered obviously the traditional methods, go to the doctors, you speak for all of a minute with someone, they don't really get to know your history, they offer you tablets, and off you go. Well, with every respect to my doctor then, who's actually died since I last saw him, that just wasn't for me. I thought, well, I'm not going to take antidepressants. I'm not against anyone taking them, but for me, rooted deep down within, it just was not the path for me. I knew that there are other methods that I needed to explore, because I wanted something. I was always going to be running businesses, so therefore I didn't just want to take tablets when stress got too much. I wanted to learn the right natural tools. Hence why, if you've ever seen any of my other videos, I always preach the cardio, strength, balance, good nutrition for vitality in your life. All natural resources, and they can actually all be used for free as well. And this has got me out of my darkest days with depression, and I haven't gone back to that dark place since. And I've had some really tricky times since experiencing depression as well. So and this is what I just want to relay over to anyone else who's struggling at the moment with stress, who's struggling hard to run that business or hold down that career, as well as the family and the financials and all the commitments behind the scenes of being so successful. So stick along. We've got a few more minutes. We've got 12 minutes left. So if you're tired of being tired all the time, carry on watching. If you're just juggling way too many balls in the air, you've got too much responsibility, you're running around like a headless chicken and you just don't know where to turn, and you're feeling overwhelmed all the time, you find it hard to make decisions, and you're always living in fear really for the future, like what if this is going to go wrong, or what if my event is not going to turn out how I wanted it to be, then stick around. This is definitely for you. And you want to feel less stressed, right? You want to feel like yourself again. You want to get back to your original natural feeling of self, because when stress takes over, one day you might just start waking up in the morning thinking, I just don't feel right. And then it ends up affecting your ability to be a bit motivated to go into work. And that's then the down spiral. Well, that was my experience anyway. So yeah, this is what I am sort of preaching right now, is to get on top of these symptoms. And this is how you get unstuck, basically. If you feel you're stuck in a rut, I'm not necessarily saying like a work rut or a business rut, but you can just get in a little bit of a rut with yourself. That's just you probably falling into behavioural patterns or emotional patterns or physical patterns, You're not as motivated as what you used to be before. Or, everyone's got their sort of period in their life, haven't they, where they were on their game. And as I started off this 30-minute booster session, I just want you to get back to your magic, your flow, without stress getting in the way. So what's my 4-step process? It is, number one, it's over a 4-week program really, and this is what the Facebook closed group is all about. So start on the 1st of July, and again the link is tagged in with this post. So it's complimentary, it's all free. Come in and you will get to see the tools I actually go through to help you become an athlete in today's modern world, to beat the stress and live a stress-free life. So step 1 is Reboot. It's all about basically understanding where you are in your life, reassessing and basically changing your mindset so you can prepare yourself for the next few weeks. because it's a process. You can't just like manage stress overnight. I mean, you can. There's obviously techniques like meditation and breathing exercises that you can, you know, do for an instant hit of relaxation and calmness. But if you're managing a stressful life, you need to be implementing tools every single day, because if you want to have a very healthy business, that healthy business needs a business owner to be healthy as well, because that will then generate fruitful, you know, results as well in the future. So yeah, number 1 is reboot. Step number 2 is boost. So this is all about boosting the good techniques, all the knowledge that I've learned over the years, and we really go to town with, yeah, just all these sort of simple tricks that you can implement at any one time that you need. Step number 3 is breakthrough. So this is where the results start showing, and on my program, From Burnout to Breakthrough, I offer a 30-day and a 60-day program. So if you are transitioning, you know, from one career to another, or if you're moving country, or maybe going through a real sort of challenging period in your life, like a breakup possibly, or a divorce, it's still sort of change management. I forgot my train of thought now. This is when, by the way, I offer on those programs a guarantee with results, but this is on step 3, this is when you start seeing results. So you start seeing the healthy rewards that come your way with implementing the right tools, the right techniques through the 4 resources: cardio, strength, balance, and good nutrition. And step 4, which is week 4 of the program, is boom. And I love it. It sounds so cheesy, I know, but this is just when you're back in your flow. This is when you've got life by its balls, right? This is when you know what to do, and you know, you can see the future, and without realising, you're just back in your inner magic, you know, your flow of intuition, and you know, everything's just going your way. And that's just all really what we want to be working from at any one time. We want to be like, you know, the go-to person in your career, and you know, you want to be on top of your game, and you want to be the most successful business entrepreneur in your industry, and you want to be the awesome wife and the great parent, and you know, that is what you can achieve. But again, you need to start with these 4 resources: cardio, strength, balance, and good nutrition. So just to give you a bit more of an insight, so under step 1, week 1, which is reboot, we go through the Are You Stressed questionnaire, because you need to know what symptoms you're experiencing, and with this 25-part questionnaire you will find out what bracket you're in. So there's 3 brackets there. And if you're either the 2nd or 3rd bracket, that's obviously when you start to, when you really need to take action and implement these 4 resources into your life to avoid stress really getting out of control. And then also in week 1, we go through your stress triggers. Now, it can be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be work, but what triggers you? What gets you blooming, you know, your juices flowing, your blood pumping around your body? It could be animals. It could be bills, it could be a relative that's sick. I mean, if you're dealing with like this one particular trigger on a daily basis or an hour basis, you know, these are still triggers all the same. So we get to identify what your triggers are. And also the last part of week 1 is all about finding out what you actually want. So it gives you a focus throughout the 4 weeks, what you want to get out of the program, and where you want to head to, because you want to be on the right track, don't you? So it's all about getting out of your rut, like lifting those clouds so you can move forward. So a lot of people find it very hard to answer the question, what do you want in life? So if you are struggling, then I've got a few tips to help you work out what you do want. It's always that question at school, isn't there? Like, what do you want to do in life? And sometimes you can get into your 60s, 70s, 80s and beyond, and never actually all your life find out what you really want. But I've got a trick, a technique there that helps you find out. Okay, so week number 2 is boost. So again, boosting stuff like little powerful techniques and tricks, but we also get to work out if you're living in fear, or if you're living in overwhelm, or if you actually are living in both. Now, a lot of my clients, my breakthroughs, are living in both, and it's sad, but when you realise the differences, because fear manifests differently to how overwhelm manifests into your life, And when you know whether it's fear that you're experiencing or overwhelm, you're 90% there, because the trick is to always become conscious. So whenever you're feeling that blood boil, or you get the anxiety creep up within, if you actually know whether it's fear or overwhelm, that gives you a very, very sort of good start in order to combat that situation. And also week 2 is quite heavy in the terms of we work out your blocks. Now, what are blocks? They're like limiting beliefs, aren't they? They're basically what's stopping you from moving forward, or they're the blocks that are getting you stuck in your rut. Now, I've got 2 lists. One's the entrepreneur list and the other one's the working professional list. And they are quite similar, but I must admit the entrepreneurial list is just a little bit longer than the hard working professional list. But we've all got limiting beliefs that are completely rooted within your subconscious, and you don't even realise sometimes what you're actually doing at any one time. You're probably being loyal to someone from years ago, and you're just acting out some sort of idea that you've always had in your head, and you've never challenged it, you've always trusted it. So it just goes through, week 2 goes through all those blocks, and as you progress, I mean, you can then go down and tick off all these blocks. Yeah, I've actually worked on that, great, let's tick off and go to the next one. When you become open-minded, that's when it's, the whole world's your oyster. But, it's quite an eye-opener when you realise, when you first start it, how many blocks you have. We've all got blocks. Yeah, we can all work on them. So week 3 is breakthrough. So we go through a very trusted method, or should I say practice or technique. It's called the Wheel of Life, and a lot of coaches do use this. And basically we, in week 3, go through all the areas of your life and we grade them out of 10. So it could be your work, career, could be a section there, your financials, your relationships, your physical environment, your overall health. And I've added on the 4 resources onto that Wheel of Life as well, so the cardio, strength, balance and good nutrition. So we just assess where you are, and we would score out of 10, and then you would work out then what you need to work on first. So your 2 least scoring areas, that's what you would focus on first. And also we would then, from that Wheel of Life, take the most highly scored aspect of your life. And it's good to be grateful, and that's when you just learn to be grateful. Like, okay, I've actually got quite good finances, so at least I've got something I can latch onto when I'm in this cloud of stress, whenever stress bites your bum. So that's a really good eye-opener when week 3. And week 4 is boom, as I mentioned. Now this is when you start having everything that you've learned come together, and it's just there for your taking. And depending on the situation, I can use that tool, or that's fear, or I don't feel as anxious when I go to this meeting now. You're really getting to understand where you are with your blocks and your habits and your periods of anxiety or triggers. So it's quite an exciting place to be when you can just go through shit in your life, but because you've had all your sort of training or coaching, you just feel quite sort of safe. You feel like you've got like an imaginary cloak on you, and you feel quite just protected from life's stresses. That's how I feel anyway. And because I've really got to that point now, and I've been through some shit. We all have, haven't we? And you're not taught this sort of stuff at school, are you? I mean, meditation for me, wow, that's under the balance side. It's just amazing. And I'm so glad now sorry, I had a phone call there. I'm so glad to see schools implementing the meditation, because I've got a 2.5-year-old, and I've always said to myself, I'm going to meditate when Oscar's at the right age, because he's too young yet. I've tried, but he's just too young. It's kids with ADHD now, they're given meditation practices and they come off tablets. I mean, wow, the proof's in the pudding. If you've never tried to meditate, there's never ever, just try, just never have a good time apart from now. I mean, it's just brilliant, but we go through that in the programme. So that is the 4 weeks. That is what my complimentary From Burnout to Breakthrough closed Facebook group will all be about. So I just guide you through it all. And if you need additional help, I then offer a 30-minute one-to-one online booster session. So if you're interested, follow the link, come join me in the closed Facebook group. I'm going to build it up over the next couple of weeks and get people that I think will benefit from it, so we can all, again, be together in that group and learn to become athletes in today's modern world, because that's all that's needed. We need to learn to look after ourselves, and we always end up looking after everyone else first, and we don't look after number one. I mean, it's not being selfish. It's like, you know, you're on the aeroplane and they always say, put your mask on first before you can help others. That's what you need to do. Your business needs you to be an athlete. Your family needs you to be like on top of your game. Like your boss needs you to be, you know, the best you can be at any one time when you've got all these work projects going on. So that's me. If you've got any questions, I would love to hear them. You know, talk about your, you know, stress, you know, symptoms or experiences, or what gets you de-stressed. I mean, here again, Hannah, she's one of my stress busters. Hannah. Hello. Bless her. She's from Shanghai. Oh. And yeah, I would love to speak to you very soon. And thanks for listening. See you later. Bye.